When faced with an inspector's decision that seems incorrect, several options are available to address the situation. Firstly, politely inquire and seek justification. This involves respectfully asking the inspector to explain their reasoning and provide evidence supporting their decision. Express your concerns and offer alternative viewpoints or interpretations. Communication is key to potentially resolving misunderstandings or clarifying the inspector's perspective. Secondly, request a second opinion. If possible, contact a senior inspector or supervisor for an independent assessment. Present your case clearly and professionally, providing documentation or evidence to support your position. A fresh set of eyes may identify overlooked factors or offer a different interpretation of the codes or regulations. Thirdly, file an appeal. Many municipalities have formal appeal processes in place for challenging inspection decisions. Submit a written appeal outlining your disagreement and providing supporting evidence. Follow the appeal procedures carefully and submit all required documentation. The appeal process typically involves a review by a board or committee that can overturn or modify the original decision. Fourthly, seek legal advice. If all other options have been exhausted, consider consulting an attorney who specializes in construction law. They can assess your case, advise you on your rights, and potentially represent you in legal proceedings. Legal counsel can be particularly helpful if the inspector's decision has significant financial or legal implications. Fifthly, comply with the ruling under protest. In certain situations, it may be necessary to comply with the inspector's ruling even if you believe it is incorrect. However, you can file a protest in writing, expressing your disagreement with the decision and preserving your right to challenge it later. This approach allows you to avoid delays or penalties while still pursuing a resolution to the dispute. It is important to stay calm and professional throughout the process of challenging an inspector's decision. Being respectful and maintaining a positive attitude can help facilitate communication and increase the likelihood of a favorable outcome. Be prepared to provide evidence and documentation to support your position. Thorough documentation such as building plans, permits, and relevant code sections can strengthen your case and demonstrate that the inspector's decision is unwarranted. Be patient and persistent. Resolving disputes with inspectors can take time, so it is important to remain patient and persistent in pursuing a resolution. Do not give up easily and continue to advocate for your position. Seek support from industry associations or contractor organizations if needed. These organizations can provide valuable resources, guidance, and support in navigating the inspection process and resolving disputes. They may also have experience with similar situations and can offer insights or strategies for success. Before starting a project, thoroughly review all applicable codes and regulations to ensure compliance. Understanding the requirements upfront can help prevent disagreements with inspectors later on. Maintain clear and open communication with the inspector throughout the project. Addressing concerns or questions promptly can prevent misunderstandings and ensure that the project stays on track. Document all inspections, including the date, time, and inspector's name. Keep records of any issues that arise and how they were resolved. This documentation can be valuable if you need to challenge a decision later on. If you are unsure about a particular code requirement, seek clarification from the inspector or a qualified expert before proceeding with the work. This can help avoid costly mistakes and ensure that the project meets all applicable standards. If you believe that the inspector is being unreasonable or biased, document the specific instances and report them to the appropriate authorities. It is important to address any concerns about inspector conduct promptly and professionally. Remember that the goal of inspections is to ensure the safety and quality of construction projects. While disagreements may arise, it is important to work collaboratively with the inspector to achieve a positive outcome that protects both the public and your interests. In the electrical field, understanding the National Electrical Code, or NEC, is crucial. This code provides guidelines for safe electrical installations. Consider a scenario where an inspector cites a violation related to conductor ampacity. Ampacity refers to the current carrying capacity of a conductor, measured in amps. The NEC specifies ampacity ratings for different conductor sizes and types, based on factors such as insulation temperature rating and installation conditions. If an inspector claims that a conductor is undersized for the intended load, it's important to understand the relevant NEC tables and calculations. For example, NEC Table 310.16 provides ampacity ratings for conductors based on their insulation type and ambient temperature. If the inspector's interpretation of this table seems incorrect, respectfully point out the relevant information and provide supporting documentation. Another common area of contention is grounding and bonding. Grounding provides a path for fault current to return to the source, while bonding ensures that all metallic parts of an electrical system are at the same electrical potential. The NEC has detailed requirements for grounding and bonding, including the size and type of grounding conductors, the methods for connecting grounding electrodes, and the bonding of metallic enclosures. If an inspector cites a violation related to grounding or bonding, carefully review the relevant NEC sections and provide documentation to demonstrate compliance. For instance, if the inspector claims that the grounding electrode conductor is undersized, refer to NEC Table 250.66, which specifies the minimum size of the grounding electrode conductor based on the size of the service entrance conductors. Overcurrent protection is another critical aspect of electrical safety. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to protect conductors and equipment from overloads and short circuits. The NEC specifies the maximum overcurrent protection for different conductor sizes and types, based on their ampacity. If an inspector claims that an overcurrent protection device is too large for the conductor it protects, consult NEC Table 240.4, which provides the general requirements for overcurrent protection of conductors. Remember that the NEC is a complex document and interpretations can vary. If you disagree with an inspector's interpretation, it's important to have a thorough understanding of the relevant code sections and to present your case clearly and professionally. In addition to the NEC, local codes and regulations may also apply. These codes may be more stringent than the NEC or may address specific issues that are not covered by the NEC. It's important to be familiar with all applicable codes and regulations in your jurisdiction. When challenging an inspector's decision, it's helpful to have a written record of all communications and interactions. This record can be valuable if you need to file an appeal or consult with an attorney. If you are unsure about a particular code requirement, seek clarification from a qualified electrical engineer or a certified electrical inspector. These professionals can provide expert guidance and help you ensure that your electrical installations comply with all applicable standards. Remember that electrical safety is paramount. Always prioritize safety when working with electricity, and never take shortcuts or compromise on quality. By following the NEC and other applicable codes and regulations, you can help ensure the safety of yourself, your property, and the public. In the plumbing field, inspectors ensure compliance with the Uniform Plumbing Code or the International Plumbing Code, depending on the locality. A common point of contention arises with drain, waste, and vent, or DWV systems. These systems are designed to remove wastewater and sewage from buildings and to provide ventilation to prevent sewer gases from entering the building. The codes specify the size and slope of drain pipes, the types of materials that can be used, and the requirements for venting. If an inspector flags an issue with the DWV system, such as insufficient slope or improper venting, it's crucial to understand the code requirements. For example, the code typically requires a minimum slope of 1/4 inch per foot for drain pipes. If the inspector claims that the slope is inadequate, accurately measure the slope and provide documentation to support your position. Another area of concern is water supply systems. These systems deliver potable water to buildings for drinking, bathing, and other uses. The codes specify the types of materials that can be used for water pipes, the minimum water pressure requirements, and the backflow prevention measures that must be in place to protect the water supply from contamination. If an inspector raises concerns about the water supply system, be prepared to provide documentation showing compliance with the code. This might include pressure test results, material specifications, and backflow preventer certifications. Fixture unit values are also important in plumbing design. Fixture unit values are a measure of the demand that a particular plumbing fixture places on the drainage system. The codes use fixture unit values to determine the appropriate size of drain pipes and vents. If an inspector questions the fixture unit calculations, review the relevant code tables and provide calculations to justify the sizing of the drainage system. Proper support for plumbing pipes is essential to prevent sagging, leaks, and other problems. The codes specify the spacing and type of supports required for different types of plumbing pipes. If an inspector cites a violation related to pipe support, ensure that the pipes are properly supported according to the code. Water heater installations are also closely scrutinized by plumbing inspectors. The codes specify the requirements for venting, combustion air, and temperature and pressure relief valves. If an inspector raises concerns about the water heater installation, verify that all components are installed according to the code. In the mechanical field, inspectors enforce compliance with the Uniform Mechanical Code or the International Mechanical Code. These codes cover heating, ventilation, and air conditioning or HVAC systems. Ductwork is a common area of inspection. Ductwork is used to distribute conditioned air throughout a building. The codes specify the types of materials that can be used for ductwork, the methods for sealing ductwork, and the insulation requirements. If an inspector identifies issues with the ductwork, such as leaks or inadequate insulation, address these issues promptly. Proper sizing of HVAC equipment is essential for ensuring that a building is adequately heated and cooled. The codes specify the methods for calculating heating and cooling loads, and for selecting equipment that is appropriately sized for the load. If an inspector questions the sizing of the HVAC equipment, provide calculations to support the equipment selection. Ventilation is another critical aspect of mechanical systems. The codes specify the minimum ventilation rates for different types of spaces to ensure that indoor air quality is adequate. If an inspector raises concerns about ventilation, verify that the ventilation system is providing the required amount of fresh air. Combustion air is essential for the safe operation of fuel-burning appliances, such as furnaces and water heaters. The codes specify the requirements for providing adequate combustion air to these appliances. If an inspector identifies a lack of combustion air, correct the situation immediately. Refrigerant piping is also closely scrutinized by mechanical inspectors. The codes specify the types of materials that can be used for refrigerant piping, the methods for joining refrigerant piping, and the leak testing requirements. If an inspector raises concerns about the refrigerant piping, ensure that all components are installed according to the code and that the system is leak-free. In addition to these specific examples, there are a number of general principles that apply to all types of inspections. Always be professional and respectful when interacting with inspectors. Provide them with the information they need to do their job and be willing to answer their questions. If you disagree with an inspector's decision, remain calm and explain your reasoning. If you are unable to resolve the issue with the inspector, follow the appropriate appeals process. Remember that inspectors are there to protect the public safety. By working cooperatively with them, you can help ensure that your projects are safe and code compliant. In any construction project, maintaining detailed records is crucial. Keep copies of all permits, plans, specifications, and inspection reports. These records can be invaluable if you need to challenge an inspector's decision or defend your work in court. Before starting a project, thoroughly review all applicable codes and regulations. This will help you avoid costly mistakes and ensure that your project meets all requirements. If you are unsure about a particular code requirement, seek clarification from a qualified professional. There are many resources available to help you understand and comply with building codes. These include codebooks, training courses, and online resources. Take advantage of these resources to stay up to date on the latest codes and regulations. Construction is a complex field with ever-changing codes. Keeping up to date is important.